This tutorial is going to show you how to create an environment in our prototype 3D programming environment called Block. Now, please bear with us. This is a prototype, so there are going to be little bugs along the way. The first bug is if you've used Block before, then you are going to need to hard reset your browser just so that it pulls in any updates that we might have been doing behind the scenes. So to do that is just Control-Shift-R, and then it should refresh and you should get a fresh copy of Block when you do that. You might also need to zoom in on your blocks if you had them zoomed in before you refreshed your screen. So this just gives you a fresh copy of Block, and you get Block by going to flipcomputing.com/Block. So the first thing I want you to do is use one of our handy starter projects up here in the top right hand corner, and the one that we're going to use is called Controller Starter. So when you click that, you'll notice that you start to get lots of code blocks on the right hand side, and you get a little character appear on the left hand side as well. So all we're going to do at the beginning is just walk around. So just make sure that you've clicked there on that screen so that it knows that you want to start doing things over there. And if you press the space bar, then you're going to jump. If you use the W, you're going to go forward. If you use an S, then you're going to go backwards. And then if you click and hold with your mouse, then that allows you to move around as well. So just to test it out, just so that you can see what happens, if you walk right off the edge, so this is the ground here, if you walk right off the edge like that, then what's going to happen is, because you've got no ground to stand on anymore, you're just going to float endlessly in the sky, and it will just keep doing that over and over and over again until you refresh. So you can start the code again just by pressing that play button, and that just brings you right back. So don't panic if you go off the edge, just press the play button again and you'll get your program restarted. So to start off our program, what I want you to do is just drag these two print blocks over here. Now when you drag things over and you let go, they get these cross hatches on them, so to show you that this code will not run when the play button is pressed, but they're just still there if you need them for later. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get rid of this ground block. So now I'm going to grab the ground block and I'm going to drag it onto the bin, which is just down here. So then I'll let go, and now that ground block has disappeared. And before I drag these code blocks back, what I want to do is I want to actually add in a map. I want to put some terrain on here. So I'm going to go to my code blocks, which are just here. If you click there, or if you hover, sometimes it appears, but usually if you click, then you'll see that you get all of your code blocks just here in the middle. And then if you click on scene, you'll notice you get lots of blocks to do with creating the scene, and we're looking for the one that's got map on it. So this one's quite low down, so here it is. So map, circular depression, and it's got a little green block on it next to it. So I'm going to click and hold, and that just drags it away from the block list, and now I can put it here. So I want it just under the sky, because I want to have the sky, but instead of that green edge, that green ground that was there before, I want another type. So before I carry on, before I run this code, I'm just going to drag these print blocks back. Just get it right, there we go. And notice that it all jumps down, which is quite handy actually. When you put it in, the blocks jump down for you, which is really helpful actually. So I've dragged them back, and now I've got this different kind of terrain. So if I press play this time, you can see that I've got a different kind of terrain. So I can walk around, and you can see that I can walk around on different types of terrain, just like that. Now, I'm going to get you to choose some different types of terrain, but we start getting a bit of a problem when we think about the height of where the player is. So if we just look down here at this block of code, the player is put in the Y position of 0, which is where it is right now. But some of these terrains have different heights and different sizes. I'm trying to think which one was really bad. I think it was mixed heights. Yeah, so if I open up mixed heights, then my character's just going to keep falling, because when it loads, the position is underneath the ground, so it will never land on the ground. So I've got to be really careful here, and I've got to make sure that my character is in a high up Y position. So the Y position is to do with the height. So I'm just going to change that to a 10 instead, and then I'm going to press play. And now you can see with this terrain, because it's got quite a tall part to it, and now land perfectly on this terrain. But if I try another one, you'll notice, let's go for checkerboard, you'll notice that now I drop down. So you can keep the dropping down part, so you can keep it at the Y being 10 and have it drop down, or you can try and figure out which Y position it should be at for it to be perfectly stood there, just by playing around with that Y number. So what I want you to do is just have a look at the different types of terrain that you can choose and pick one that you really like. It really doesn't matter which one you choose. You don't have to choose the same one as me at all. I think I'm going to go for this one though. I think I like this one. No, actually no. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for checkerboard. That's it. Right, I'm going for checkerboard. So this is now my project terrain that I have picked out. So I'm happy with that. It all works. I can walk around and I can see it. So now I'm just going to show you a little bit about saving. So over here is the name of the current project. This is the one that we opened up over here. Now I want to give my project a name, so I'm going to call it 3D World. And if I click save, what happens is it just downloads a JSON file to my computer in my downloads folder. That's all it does. So every single time I press that save button, it's going to just download the latest JSON file for my whole project. So as I've said, this is a prototype. This is just how it works right now. But it's really, really important that you do keep pressing save, because this isn't going to save for you as you go along. If you change over here to something else, you're going to get rid of your project. So you don't want to be doing that. So make sure you click save. And then you can always load your latest save using that folder there. Open the folder, go into your downloads folder, find the latest file, and you can bring it back. So that just means that your hard work doesn't get lost. So I've saved it, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new model block, because what I want to do is I want to add some trees. So I'm going to go to code, and I'm going to go to scene, and I want a new model to go in. So I'm going to put this underneath my terrain here, like so. Now I could leave it as the nice flock bird if I want to, but what I want to do is I want a tree. So I'm going to change that to tree, and you can choose any tree. You don't have to choose the same one as me. You can choose any of those colours. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press play, and you're going to see something very strange. Nothing's happened. Where is my tree? So before I was showing you about this this Y coordinate. We've got an X and we've got a 0. So that's trying to stick it in 0, 0, 0. But it's underneath the ground. So my tree is underneath there. So what I've got to do is I've got to figure out, well, what's the best Y position to put my tree at. So I'm going to try 5. Hey, there it is. So now you can see I've got a tree, but it's doing something a bit odd. It's floating in the sky, and my character has landed on top of it, but that's okay. That's absolutely fine. So now I've got to start playing around with some of the positions. So this is quite handy, and if you've ever used Blender before, you might have used something similar to this. If I go to position and then I click on the tree, you can see that I start to get these arrows. So one goes up, one goes to the right, and one goes forwards and backwards. And these are our X, Y, and our Z arrows. If I grab the right arrow here and click and hold, what happens is I move the tree out the way, and now physics allows my character to drop down, but my tree, because it doesn't have physics, is not going to drop down. So I need to just keep playing around with those arrows until I get it right. Now you might need to manually put in the Y position. Sometimes you just have to manually do that at the moment, but the X and Y should be pretty good when you're using it. You should be able to move those quite easily. Now the tree size isn't that realistic at the moment, so I'm going to scale it up. I'm going to set it to 3, and because I've scaled it up, I am going to just press the play button. Okay, so I've now got a tree, and it's at the scale of 3, so it's quite nice. I think it's about right, but it's not. No, it's not quite right, is it? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring it down a bit more. There we go. Now just checking, has it changed that? Because I don't think it has. I'm just going to put 1.5 instead on the Y. Let's just try it again. Oh, it's too low now. I'm going to try 2. I think that's about right. Okay, so I'm happy with my tree. So you might have all sorts of problems with where your tree is. If you lose your tree, then just put in some of the standard values again. So some of the standard values are a scale of 1, that's what it came in as, then an X of 0, a Y of 5, and a Z of 0. If you do that, you tend to find it again. So if you've moved it around too much and you've got very lost, then just change it back to those coordinates and it should do. Or if you've been saving lots, then you might be able to just upload your version when your tree actually works. So I'm quite happy with the size and everything of that tree. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add another tree. So I can do it this way, so I can go to scene again, and then I can do new, like so, and I'm going to do a different color tree this time, and I'm going to copy the numbers that are here, but I'm just going to do them very slightly different. I'm going to go -5, and I'm going to keep it at 2 because that's the height, so that should be roughly right, and I'm going to put 3 on that one. So let's just see what that does. I mean, this is all about experimenting. So where is my tree? There we go. Okay, that's not too bad. And if I make it a, let's see if I make it a 5, that's going to be quite big. Okay. So that's not looking too bad now. So I'm just going to, I think I'm going to add one more tree to my scene. So this time I'm going to duplicate. So if I go here, right click and then duplicate, I can actually duplicate that block, and I can choose the other model and just see what it's done. It's copied it exactly. So I'm going to go this time, I'm going to go -10, and on this one I'm just going to go 5, and let's see what happens this time. Not quite where I want it. So I could use the handles again this time. So I go to position, I can click on it, I can pull it over. Oh, that's a bit strange, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Like so. Okay, that's not too bad. And just notice that that Y has just jumped up a little bit, so I'm just going to press a 2, I'm going to press play, I'm just going to make sure There we go. So I'm really happy with my trees, and I'm just going to show you another little trick, because you've probably noticed that you can actually bring in a character as well if you want to. The character isn't going to do a lot, it's just going to sit there, but what you can do is some cool things with the size. Let's just go really big. What is going on? Uh-oh, I got stuck inside the character. So now my character is huge here. I like having huge characters. I think it looks pretty cool. So I am just going to put my character there and just check. Just change that to 2 again. Press play. And now when I go up the hill and I turn around, I can see my little scene, and you can just keep adding and adding until you're happy with your scene. So give it a go yourself.